Dun, dun, dun. Ah, gosh, what a long day. Hi, everybody. I'm Jimmy Guzman of JNG Event Consulting, and I'll be your host today. I'm so excited to host this episode of Jimmy's Decorative Moment, and it's just going to be me today. But first, before we begin, I have a really cool show ahead of us. I want to thank our sponsors. Thank you so much to Simone Williamson and Jim Carr and Lisa Oberlander of Be Our Guest Party Rental for providing all of the set decor today. I love this linen, this burnt orange linen, and I love the bookshelf behind me and the linen as well, the red one. I don't know if you can see it, but it's crimson. It's fabulous. I also want to thank Glenn and Janice Williams of the Rosendale Arts Alliance for all of your support in starting the show and for keeping it going. I really love doing this, and it's thanks to you. So without much further ado, let's get started. I actually picked up the scarf yesterday, and I love it so much. It's from one of my favorite stores called Zara, and it just felt very fall to me. It's sort of like a play on plaid and checker patterns, and it's very warm and very comfortable and also very big too. And I don't know if you noticed this, but on this, on top of the tablecloth, I also have this overlay, but it's actually a scarf that I picked up too from Zara. And this is more obviously autumn tones with the crimsons and the blues and the greens. It's really beautiful and definitely fits in with the season. So, I pulled some things because I actually went shopping a little bit earlier today and I wanted to gather a few items together for you. So I got some things from one of my favorite places, Jacobson, as well as the dollar store actually, because I know that we're always shopping for a bargain or just finding decor items for our homes and for our offices that sort of is easy and fast, but also inexpensive because it can get a little pricey to decorate your spaces. So we like to do things on a budget sometimes. So, one of the fun little items that I picked up from Jacobson is actually this cool little pick with a scarecrow. I love this kind of stuff, and it just makes me so happy to see it because it brings you back to your childhood. And so you'll notice that it has like this long pick, so that means that you can actually insert it into the ground in front of your home, in front of the yard, so that little kids walking by or even, anyone walking by your home will get like this very playful sort of impression of your space, and that's always fun and brings a lot of warmth into the neighborhood. I also really enjoyed this. I just picked these up, so they're still a little bit matted down, but these are actually faux autumn leaves. And you can use these in a variety of applications. You can use these, to decorate the front of your home. You can create like a wreath with them using like a metal wire frame. And I'm gonna actually show you one of my favorite wreaths that I picked up and designed with a metal frame, so you can see what that looks like. But you can fill a vase with these at home and have a very large arrangement of autumn leaves. There's so many applications for this, and they're so fun. And you can actually twist them too, and you can make them kind of fan out a little bit. And if you want, you can break the leaves apart. So I love that you can just kind of break them apart, and then you can sprinkle them or even have them in a nice bowl and just have a lot of fun. You can throw them at each other at the dinner table. You could just do so many cool things. So I really, really love those a lot. You'll notice this actually, I love this candle. So I picked up a lot of these candles. I use them for a lot of private events. I often use them for weddings. I use them for corporate functions. I use them for any sort of social gathering. And these are great because they're made out of real paraffin wax, but they have a little moving wick that illuminates. And so it looks very, very realistic. And I promise you, when you walk into a room and you see hundreds of these, they look very realistic. And the dancing flame actually creates like this dancing light in the space too. And I love it when it shines on my arrangements because it just illuminates them in a really cool, interesting way. I love these. And I got them from Vase Source. Jacobson also has really cool ones, but you can find them at Pottery Barn. You can find them at Bed Bath & Beyond. Bed Bath & Beyond has a really fabulous selection of them. They have pine cone shaped luminara candles that are also real paraffin wax but have a moving wick. Imagine how fun that would be to decorate your staircase outside of your home with them, with lanterns or without. I think that's a great idea. So I have this little wicker basket here filled with floral, and we're gonna get to like a cool little fun design in a moment, but I wanted to kind of point that out to you right now. What I love about this wicker basket, and actually, there's one behind me too, is that there's actually a lining inside of it. So I picked this up from the dollar store, and it has like a lining inside of it. So the good thing about that is that you can place a block of floral foam or oasis inside of it, and the water won't soak through, which is great. And so you can use this to design flowers. You can use it to fill it with like cornucopia. You can use it to fill it with so many potpourri, so many different things that can kind of bring life and decorative moments into your space. So I love that. But we're gonna get to the fun part of designing in just a little bit, just after I kind of walk through some of my decorative elements. You'll notice these two very large arrangements behind me. And I actually used them for a wedding recently. Last Saturday, I had a really fabulous wedding at the Mandarin Oriental in Boston, and that was great. The couple was wonderful. They were so excited about their wedding day, and they were so open to design. They just knew that they wanted autumn tones for their wedding. And so you can imagine, we have our oranges, we have our rich crimsons, we have like greenery, and all these seasonal varieties. But I also brought in some tropical flowers too. You all know I love orchids so much. And so actually we have some cymbidium orchids that are burnt orange with tones of brown. We have oncidium orchids, and I'm actually going to pull one out so you can see them. Oncidium orchids have fast become one of my favorite orchid varieties. The thing with oncidium orchids is that they're shaped like little butterflies, like ballerinas, excuse me. And so they look like they're dancing. And so when you have them in an arrangement, even this was just sort of like I didn't style this to be an arrangement per se, but you can see how it looks complementing other flowers. And I love how they just sort of stick out, and they have this sort of ethereal nature to them, and they're just so beautiful and delicate and soft. And they come in really cool shades too. They come in like reds, they come in browns and oranges, and you can only imagine how fun and fabulous that is. So I'm gonna actually stick this back in there. What's cool about these arrangements, and you may not notice them, is I actually used a new Oasis product, Midnight Foam. And the Midnight Foam, so typically when floral designers are making an arrangement and they're using Oasis blocks or foam, it's green, and it's been green for a very long time. But now Oasis has released black Midnight Foam. And the great thing about that is you're using significantly less foliage to cover the foam, because you never want your clients, or you never want to see the foam itself. It's very unattractive, and it just doesn't look great, and it doesn't look natural. You want your arrangements to look natural and pretty and full. And so the idea is that you always had to use a lot of foliage to cover this Oasis block, or you would have to use a lot of flowers to cover it. But now that it's black, you can actually use less product because you don't see it as clearly. So you may not even notice it, but there's actually black inside of here. But I'm using less product than I normally would have in order to cover it up. It's still not something, it's still unsightly, but at least now you're using less to cover it up, and it's less of a hassle. So I have gotten in the habit of just buying boxes and boxes of Midnight Foam because I love it so much, and it's really made my life significantly easier. Also, I would leave an event set up, and I'd always think, oh gosh, did I cover up all the Oasis? And now I don't have to worry about it because now it's black. So in the dim lighting of an event space, you really don't notice it at all. Even if there's a big block of it, where a hole, for instance, let's say flowers fell out, it's still unnoticeable, which is great. If it were green, that's a different story. So, but we won't worry about that. I actually have them sitting on these gold wire frames. So, I just love how, that's actually a trend that's happening now, these gold wire frames as pedestal supports for your centerpieces. And I love them because it's sort of an alternative to the glass vase, but you can do so much with them. You can even cover them with greenery. Here I've covered them with Italian ruscus, and you'll notice that some of them have these little orange berries that have started to grow. And I think that's super because it added its own little color tone and its own little pop of autumnal hue to the centerpiece, which is what the client really wanted. They wanted this to be very fall. And so I love that. And what I love about this arrangement too, actually, is it is a fall arrangement because of the colors and the prominence of the autumn hues, but actually there's a lot of tropical flowers. Again, I mentioned the cymbidium orchids, the oncidium orchids, but then we have mocara orchids. We have, so many beautiful varieties of orchids, and, we have camellia branches, which is traditionally, very much of the season, but late summer, in fact. So it's beautiful, and eucalyptus, which is one of my favorite. Eucalyptus has this really wonderful fragrance that I love so much. I'm gonna clip a little bit with my shears. I love these shears so much, but I'm gonna clip a little bit because eucalyptus, you can use this actually on a table. So you can place it on, let's say you're dining at a rectangular table, even a circular table, and you can place it in the center, and then you can create a garland of just eucalyptus, and the fragrance is so wonderful. And then if you actually put candlelight inside, look how beautiful that is. It just sort of reflects it and complements it, and it's just a really wonderful thing. Imagine long rows of eucalyptus. I think they're fantastic, and they smell so I can't get enough of this. I can't stop smelling it. So more behind. This is the wreath that I designed, and I just want to show it to you because I love it so much. I'm going to get into more of the mechanics of it in a little bit, but I at least wanted to kind of point it out. So it is right behind me. It's just this beautiful mix of dried flowers and hay and just beautiful, beautiful varieties made on this metal wire frame, and I'll point those out a little bit later. So moving on, so yes, so I picked this up too. Oh, how fun is this and how adorable. I love it, love it, love it. It's this little basket with this scarecrow, with this little hay at the top and a sunflower button, and it has this little smiley face, which is always happy, warm, and inviting. And then I actually filled it with some little paraphernalia, but I got this at the dollar store and it's so wonderful. It's actually like a little wrapped bundle of corn. It's faux, of course, but I love it because they have this little, they tied it with rope, which is great and always gives it that rustic feel. Definitely fall is a season of rustic. You always think autumn, rustic, sort of rope and those type of textures. I also grabbed this beautiful bundle from Jacobson Floral Supply, actually, and I love that they sort of took all these different elements, but they taped it together with this black tape, and it's just this beautiful collection. I mean, honestly, when I look at this, you could have it on your lapel if you're going out. I mean, it's a little large, but still, I'm eccentric, so I would totally do that. Otherwise, you could have these as part of the garlands on the table, maybe even with our eucalyptus. But so many different applications and things you could do with that. And then just this itself, this little basket, I mean, you can do so much. Like if you're having a kid's party, you can fill this with candy, overflowing with candy. You could line this with film and actually design a floral arrangement coming out of it. Or you could just have this as a beautiful, having this in front of your home or even at your office and filling it with sweets is so warm and inviting and cozy. And that's really what the season is all about. Just being warm and being inviting and just relishing in the moment and in your friends and family. And so I think just anything you can do to really create that type of space and those decorative moments is so important and fun. Moving on, I grabbed some of these branches too, which I love. They're these berries on these branches, and they're fantastic, but I use them a lot in designing, and you look really closely, and they're nice crimson tones, so it's nice crimson berries, and you can do so many things with them. Again, you can actually even create a tablescape on your table where you're laying them down on the table. So I'm gonna grab a few pieces just to show you what that looks like, because I think that's a great idea. And you can make it as dense as you want. And so I'm gonna make it a little dense because I like it. I like seeing full. Definitely in my design style is to keep things very full, because I think that's just so nice, and it makes it feel nice and warm when it's lush. So that's sort of the idea. But again, you can integrate candlelight in here. You can even bring in our bundles. You can bring in bundles of corn. You can even stick our little mixed bouquet inside of it. There's so many fun things you can do to start creating a wow centerpiece. And of course, we have our little eucalyptus stem off to the side that we can toss in there. So I think it's great. All right, great. And then, I have some of this beautiful hay that I bought, and I love this. It's dry, but you can use it in so many different ways. You can fill an entire vase with them. You could just have a vase filled with them. You could, again, use these on a tablescape. You could make a wreath using them. I actually use them in the wreath that was designed. So there's a lot of applications for hay, but nothing says autumn like hay and pumpkins and scarecrows and just really everything, all these elements that we've pulled together for you today. So let me, my favorite part of today is gonna be actually designing inside a little gourd. I actually grabbed this little gourd and I hollowed it out and I filled it with midnight foam, and I actually just temporarily put this little oasis, this succulent inside. And so I'm gonna show you part of my mechanics in designing. I'm gonna make a clear little space for us so nothing's obstructing our view. So basically, I took this little succulent, I took off all the dirt. It was actually a planted succulent. And then I inserted this hyacinth stick inside of it so that I would then be able to stick it to design an arrangement. I'm gonna set this off to the side for now because I wanna show you the midnight foam that I was talking a little bit about. So inside of the gourd, after I hollowed it out, I filled it with the midnight foam, which is black. And you'll notice it's kind of wet, which is great because you first soak your foam and then you put it inside the vessel. And so in this case, I soaked the midnight foam and then I put it inside the vessel because your flowers, the point of it is that you want your flowers to drink. So I'm gonna start kind of sticking some stems in, and I already kind of gathered this basket together of fall offerings. So with some tropical flowers. So actually, I love these these are cherry brandy roses, and you'll notice they have this like mixed tone variety. I like to take off the outer petals. Those are called the guard petals, just because they can be a little unattractive. There's some brown spots. Sometimes they look wonderful. In this case, I'd rather just take them off. So I'm gonna continue to remove the petals and then start inserting my flowers. So as always, you wanna cut your flowers at an angle, the stems. That way it soaks up the water more easily and readily. So I'm gonna start inserting. And what I'm kind of gonna try to do is just create like a round arrangement filled with lots of varieties. Autumn to me is varieties and lushness and just inclusion and warmth and happiness. And so I just wanna create something that feels that way. So I'm gonna continue to pull, and I love these so much. Oh my gosh, this yellow is so fantastic. I'm gonna pluck some of the excess greenery off, and then I'm gonna again, cut it at an angle, but start to stick it in. And so let me work a little quickly to do this because I want to show you some other fun flowers, but I do want to have some more of these because I just love the way they look so much. And then, as you're designing, you always want to turn. So I started here, but now I'm kind of rotating as well. I have a fun turntable at home that actually cake decorators use. I bought it at Michael's, and it's what you would typically put a cake on to then decorate the cake. But I use them for flower arrangement, and they're so fantastic. I love them so much. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna clip a few pieces off. I think I'm gonna definitely include them. The good thing about these two is they start off with a long stem, so you can really create a nice full arrangement with a lot of depth and movement. Let's see. Oh, I love this so much. I'm gonna get a little creative with this one. I'm actually gonna cut it halfway. You don't have to use the entire stem. You can cut it halfway and still have it look fantastic. And then I'm gonna insert it at this angle like that. I love that so much. And let's see, oh, we have some ranunculus. Ranunculus are one of my favorite flowers, and they open up so beautifully. If you're a fan of peonies or very large garden roses, you would love ranunculus. They start off with little buds, so they're tight, but then they open up so fantastically. And they come in bright oranges, yellows, reds, so many purples, burgundies, so many different fantastic colors. And varieties too, there's Japanese ranunculus. I encourage you to Google Japanese ranunculus because those are one of my favorite varieties of flowers. I think I'm gonna use one other cherry brandy rose. I really love these. And you'll know too, if you research roses, every rose has a name. There's Tibet roses, which are very white roses. There's purple lilac roses. There's so many different names for all these fantastic varieties of roses. Oh, this is one of my favorite botanical specimens to work with. I love hanging amaranthus. It has this like tendril-like shape, and it's just so beautiful. And so the way I'm gonna use this, actually, I want it to drape on the table. So I'm gonna cut the stem a little short, but then I'm gonna have it sort of cascade down. I just really love that. And I'll work on it for the final piece, but for now, I really like what it's doing. And these are spray roses. Spray roses, again, come in lots of varieties of color. And they smell so good. You really should stop and smell the roses, but it smells so, I can't get enough of the smell. Honestly, when I'm designing, sometimes I'm just intoxicated by the smell, and all I wanna do is stick my face in the flowers and just smell them all day long. So I'm gonna continue to work on that. I love it, I love it. And I like that this stem is a little long for the spray rose, so I can stick that in there and just have a lot of fun with that. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna work with another ranunculus, why not? It creates like such a fun whimsical. I'm gonna turn my arrangement just to, consider another angle. And I'm gonna stick it in. There you have it, and look at that. It just like rises upward, and it's so fun. Like I mentioned with the spray roses coming in different colors, here's some white ones. So I like the pop of white. It really adds like just a nice like color variation, and like it just makes your arrangement more interesting, I think. So I'm gonna stick that into like a few different places. Stick it out front there. And then, the Dendrobium orchid. I was surprised. We were designing earlier for an event, and it was, I saw these and I was like, should I use them, should I not? And I decided to use them, and I love the way they looked in the centerpiece. It was so beautiful. So let's see, I'm gonna like consider this angle. Let's see. I'm gonna take that off. And don't be afraid. I mean, if you're not gonna use the entire flower, it's okay. It's okay to cut off the blossoms. I know sometimes you might feel a little guilty, but it's totally, totally okay. I love that. All right, let me stick a few more. Ooh, I love this orchid. So beautiful. I already have a red one in the arrangement, you might notice, but I'm gonna play with a yellow one too. Fantastic. Okay, let's see. So full, it's so fall. I love it. And you know, why not grab some of the little pieces of hay to really bring in that autumn? You know, we're designing in a gorge, for goodness sake. Okay. So I'm just gonna stick some of those around. I love that they're shooting outwards a little bit. I think it's so interesting. And then kind of continue over here. Oh wow, I love this. Oh my God, this is so fun. Can you imagine if someone brings you a little centerpiece like this? Like, how happy would that make you? I mean, it's just so nice and it's so warm and all the like fall color. Oh gosh, I love it. I can't get enough. I'm gonna actually stick a few more pieces of hay because I think there's some areas where we can definitely use it. The thing about flower arrangement is that you wanna make sure there's balance and there's symmetry. And so, you know, you always wanna make sure all your areas sort of flow off each other and kind of complement each other. And I just feel like we need a few more pieces of hay. And it's an intuitive process too. Like you'll feel it out and you'll say, it doesn't feel right. So what will make it feel right? And that's what you wanna change or edit. You know, you want it to feel right. So then I'm going to continue to add. I love this. Oh, and you know, our friend, the little eucalyptus cutting that I've been showing throughout the entire episode, let's go ahead and pay homage to it and use it in the arrangement. So I'm actually going to stick it back here, but then I'll show you. I'll show you what that looks like after I insert it. Look at that. Our little friend finally has a home. All right, and let's see, maybe I'll add another one of these to kind of help it out a little bit, you know, because it's kind of sticking out there by itself. So we'll add this, which is pretty. I love this. And then I'll just continue. I'll go back to this burgundy orchid. We already used some of it, but I think having it another piece of it might be nice. Fantastic. I love that. Look at that. How fun is this? And I think I feel ready, but I think maybe I'll use one more stem. And it's not even like what you would traditionally use. This is part of a ranunculus. It's closed. You may not even recognize it as such, but it is a ranunculus, and eventually it would open up. The bud would open. So I'm gonna stick this in and have it kind of jut out as well. And then, and there I feel good about that. Okay, great. Look at our little centerpiece. Wow. Here we go. I'm gonna rotate it for you. Do you like it? Let me know. All right, I'm gonna stick it right here, and I'm actually gonna pair it with a little candle over here. And maybe off to the side, I'll have our little bouquet from Jacobson. There we go. And then this little bundle I picked up at the dollar store. How nice. Everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. I had a fantastic time with you all. I mean, honestly, like I couldn't have asked for a better day, a better episode to talk to you about autumn decorating and just some tips and tricks for what you can do for this upcoming season. I mean, definitely if you have an opportunity to pick up these realistic candles, they're so great. And the real paraffin wax and the moving flame just really transforms the space for you. You can pick up so many little decorative elements at the dollar store, you know, at Bed Bath & Beyond, at Michael's, so many things you have that you can actually work with. You know, also like, why don't you just bring in some autumn into your fashions too? Like pick up a nice little scarf that makes you feel warm and that kind of speaks to the season. You know, I picked up this nice coat too. You know, bring in the burgundies and bring in the browns and bring in the patterns and like have a lot of fun with it, you know, because there's so much you can do. And also with your floral arrangement. So thank you so much. I always like to thank our sponsors at the end of the episode. Thank you so much to Be Our Guest Party Rental, especially Simone Williamson, Lisa Oberlander, and Jim Carr. Thank you so much to Glenn and Janice Williams of the Rosendale Arts Alliance for your support in starting the show and for keeping it going. And thank you for all of you. I look forward to seeing what you have to offer for the holidays, what you design, what you decorate. You know, send any images to BNN, Boston Neighborhood Network, because we'd love to see what you're doing and what decorative moments you're creating in your own life. Thank you so much, and until next time.